When it comes to food preferences, you've probably heard of a vegetarian, a pescatarian. How about a breatharian?
So it looks like this. And then the exhale is through the mouth.
Yes, a breatharian, as in breath. 25-year-old Audra Bear follows this lifestyle, which is also known as prana. She's very popular on Instagram. The idea here is not to weigh yourself down with food so you can fill yourself with breath and life.
I started breathing on December 1st, and by December 5th, 5 days later, I had no appetite for food. And I've eaten a handful of times since then, since in the last 6 months.
Okay, so here's what she does consume: herbal teas, green juices and smoothies, coconut water, and sometimes soup. She says she does not miss food. The practice is more popular than you might think, but of course, we should mention medical professionals say you should seek advice before starting anything like this.
Now, elimination diets do have their purposes, and they aren't all as extreme as going the full breatharian route. I'm going to be breaking down on this short video the basic 3 main elimination diets that many people put into practice. I'll be giving you the basics behind them, their benefits, and some of the challenges that are associated with them. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn some quick and sustainable information. What's happening, everybody? My name is Achidi, and I'm a Type A personal trainer and life coach. I specialize in teaching you people all the simple and sustainable solutions to your health and wellness problems, but I make sure that they won't drive you crazy at the same time. Today, I'm going to be taking on elimination diets. I'm going to be teaching you the basics of the elimination diet and highlighting the big 3 in the elimination diet sphere. That's the vegan and vegetarian diet, the carnivore diet, and the keto or paleo diet. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn some beneficial information. As a real quick disclaimer, I'm gonna go out there and say that I'm not advocating that any of these styles of eating are more beneficial than the other. I'm simply giving you a neutral resource so you can understand the basics behind them and make the informed decision on what works best for you. So let's get ready to go over that great information. But before we do, I need you to help me grow my channel. I only have about 77 of you loyal subscribers, and I thank all of you for taking the time to watch me. I'd like to see that number grow to 100. So take a moment, if you like what you see, hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel. It costs you nothing and it takes no time. It just gives you a chance to stay plugged into all my great informative videos. So let's get right away to it and go right into the information. So let's just get started with what is an elimination diet. It's also called an exclusion diet, and it's really something that is used as a tool to determine what foods are causing you to feel and have bad reactions. You might get put on it by your doctor, or if you work with a nutritionist, but oftentimes it's what's used to determine a food allergy. And it may become a sustainable way of eating, like if you are found to have an allergy to gluten or nuts or shellfish or some of these common allergens right here on this list, you obviously can't eat them as you go on throughout your life. And you'll be fine eating a lot of other foods, just not any of these common ones on this list. So that might work. And then some of these foods might cause you to also lose weight if you no longer eat them, specifically foods that have a lot of gluten in them, or if you're allergic to dairy and that cuts down on your fat intake, that may lead to weight loss. But the real reason that you get put on an elimination diet is to eliminate an allergen from your body. And if that contributes to a smaller intake of total calories, or a specific food group leads to a smaller intake of calories, you're more than likely gonna lose weight. But you should not go on an exclusion diet with just the sole purpose of losing weight. It might not be sufficient for your body's needs, and you may be crafting another issue like an eating disorder by eliminating foods that your body actually needs to maintain itself. So with that being said, there are some common elimination diets that people have been found to have success with in the long term. And there's 3 main ones I'm going to cover, and they have some offshoots of them, but I'm going to just cover the basics of them. So let's get started with the very first one. So first up on my big 3 of the elimination diets is the vegan and vegetarian diet. These are 2 very similar diets, and a lot of people find very good success with them. The difference between the 2 being that the vegan option is the more strict of the 2. That's having just plant items only. No animal products at all. No honey, no eggs, no dairy, none of that stuff. They will just have plant material, nuts, fruits, etc. Vegetarians, and there's some offshoots of that, will have plant, fruit, and some animal products. Some may have honey, some may have dairy, some may have eggs. Some may even have some kinds of fish. So I won't dive too deeply into that, but that's the basics of it, is a lot of plant life and limited or no animal products. That's the basics behind it. Now, the advantages of this are you can manage some type 2 diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, all go in a favorable direction. Some of the challenges are getting sufficient protein, your calcium, your iron, your omega-3 fatty acids, and your vitamin B12. So it's not a perfect way of eating. It does require some research to find the proper recipes and combinations so you can make sure you're not deficient in those things I just said. But overall, it can be done, and that's one of your elimination diet options. So next up is on the other end of the elimination spectrum, and that's the carnivore diet. This is all animal products and animals for your eating. So lots of dairy, lots of meat, seafood. Some very strict carnivores don't allow any grains, no fruits, no nuts, but some do allow for it. So there's differing ways of going about it. But it's based upon how our ancestors ate, where they were hunter-gatherers and they didn't really have domestication of plants and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of primitive style of eating. So they tout this as being a way that you can eat till you're full, because you're just gonna get full from all the meats and fats that you're having, which is true, but it can lead to some of these challenges like overeating, excessive sodium, cholesterol, hypertension. So it does come as a double-edged sword that has some challenges, but it can help lower your risk of diabetes because you're not going to have excessive blood sugar. It can help some people control their weight who can control their food intake. So you may want to tread lightly with this one, pun intended, but all animal products is the basics behind it, and it leads you to being able to eat until you are actually full, because the promise is that the carbs that you're eliminating are replaced by high protein and high fat, and that's going to keep you full and prevent you from overconsumption. So that's the carnivore diet. The last of the big 3 elimination diets is the keto or paleo diet. This is a diet that stresses high amounts of fat, large amounts of protein, and almost next to no amounts of carbohydrates. So foods such as these on this list will be very encouraged. Lots of fish, lots of lean protein, nuts, and vegetables. You will not be having foods such as these. Grains, sugars, fruits, so-called diet foods, etc. will be on the no-no list. The reason behind this is you're trying to achieve a state of ketosis. That's where the body is using its fat reserves for energy. Now, this gives the benefit of regulating diabetes, Alzheimer's, epilepsy. There's some good health benefits to it, but maintaining that state of ketosis takes a lot of measuring and tracking on your part. That way you can maintain that low to no carbohydrate intake, and that can lead some people to what's called the keto flu. That's basically like withdrawals from not having sufficient amounts of sugar. So you're going to do your research on this diet like the other two in order to find a way to make sure that your food intake matches the criteria and that you're able to tolerate it over the extended period of time. That brings me to my final thought. As you can see from all of these elimination diets, there is no magic one-size-fits-all. They all have their pros and their cons, and their real rhyme and reason is to help regulate your food intake to manage certain health effects. If it helps you lose weight, that is great, but ultimately, in order to sustain your weight loss or management, you're going to have a more balanced approach to your eating. So I do encourage you to try some of these to see what works best for you. And if you also have any food allergies, you may want to also try them out as well. But find what works for you that's going to be a sustainable and balanced way of eating that may incorporate some of all of these. So I hope that helps you out. Look forward to some of my other videos on my channel, and I'll tune you in on some more simple and sustainable health and wellness information next week.